we wanted to bring you guys on now because you guys have a trash cleanup challenge for Earth Day / Earth Day month, right?
Yeah.
Let's lead with that and let you guys kind of give us the background on that and what it is.
Jackson?
Yeah, so we wanted to kind of inspire people to get out there, and it was inspired by Joey Leatherman. I don't know if you guys are aware of this absolute enigma of a man, but he goes around on every overnight as part of like an eco cruise thing that he started, and he just cleans up wherever he is, be it a park, a river, a beach. He's done like airport car parks in uniform, things like this. So he kind of gave us the idea for Earth Month of we can get people going out there, follow us on social media, and tag what they're doing in the areas they're cleaning in their local area, just to kind of get out there and give back to the earth a little bit, pretty minimally. Just go out. And Jordan and I did one the other day at his local beach in LA, and nice. It was fun. We got out there. You get some funny looks from people sometimes. You get some good conversations started. Like, a lot of people are asking if we're doing it by choice or because we have to. And we're like, it's not a DUI. We're doing this for like the good of the world.
You guys need you guys need a jumpsuit with your logo on it. Instead of, like,
there you go. Work release on the back.
Yeah. Just singing as we go. Yeah, like like Jackson was saying, there's another group. We'll have to introduce you sometime. His name's Joey Leatherman, and he's amazing. Like what he does, he just like every area. But we're kind of like, we've been thinking about this for a while too, of like, what can we do? And like Earth Day gets one day, you know, like other things get entire months. So we've been kind of trying to push it towards like a month thing as like a challenge.
Ooh,
so,
I like that.
Yeah, it's like taking over April, trying to for just,
well, you
like,
guys.
Focus.
You guys were doing something in January too, like something by the day or something like that, right? Is that kind of starting the year off right? Every day you were giving a tip or something.
Yeah, that was like
challenge. Yeah.
New Year's resolution to like every day something you can do to be a little bit more sustainable, and that's kind of like the whole crux of Greenwings is like from the ground up. You're like, what can you do in your everyday life to do a little bit? Because it's like, Tyler, it's like you said, like we talked about in the last podcast, you mentioned like we're not building wind farms or going out and taking down coal factories, but like we can recycle, we can do a little bit. I think that trash cleanup plays right into that really well, because it's like you just like if you go out for a walk in your neighborhood, you could just bring a trash bag and like some gloves and pick it up, and you'll get some funny looks, that's for sure, but you get some people appreciating it too. Yeah.
So you get some funny looks though. What is that about? Like, what is that? Are they negative looks? Are they positive looks? Are they admiration?
We were on the beach in LA, and we're like just down from Venice Beach, so you got some funny people as well. Generally,
this is true.
So you got like people are kind of giving you a little bit of a side eye, like kind of along the lines of like, what has he done wrong to be having to clean this beach right now? But like, because they don't know we're doing it by choice, and we're just getting some sunshine, and we're getting out there, we're going for a walk, and we're picking up trash as we do it.
Yeah.
But other people would come up and you start a good conversation. They'd like give you a little fist bump and be like, keep doing what you're doing, like fighting the good fight. And hopefully then we might have inspired them to be like, hey, next time I have a day off, I might go out there and do that.
I think the locals really like noticed it, like that from what I could gather, because like like that area is a little bit more touristy, but like the locals be like, hey, what's your deal? Like, and we're just like, hey, we're just cleaning up, and they're like, yeah, that's awesome. Like we were getting like some really good positive response from people. It was like definitely a good like little conversation starter.
That's cool. Did anybody jump in with you? Like any of the locals start?
It was like it reminded me of like my dad and his neighbors. Like my dad's working on the car, and like the neighbors are just sitting there cheering him on, and so it was kind of like that in that situation.
Not really helping. No. Hey, can you hand me that wrench?
There was a couple of situations where they like pointed to trash.
Yeah, people.
Are you? Oh, really?
Thank you so much for your support.
Oh, yeah. It's as if you were work released. You missed a spot, right?
People really got on board with the work we were doing. So,
That's great.
Everybody needs a cheering section.
Yeah, but it's cool. We're surprised, like, because we're still pretty small. Like, we're still kind of getting out there, but like, we're already getting like some support from like people like this group in Puerto Rico went and cleaned up like 6 bags of trash off of a beach out there, and
Dude, that
they
was
like
some
posted
great pictures on that, man. I saw a full toilet,
Yeah, they
a
look so.
a
Yeah,
couple
got
of tires. I think if
yeah.
you put it all together, you could definitely put either a boat together or a home. I'm not sure, but there was a
Definitely
lot.
some kind of
Mobile home.
MacGyver life-saving invention, of course, some
Holy
sort. But
cow. I couldn't believe it.
yeah, I have not gotten to the full toilet level. Like, I don't know how to deal with that yet personally, but I don't have a wheelbarrow yet, but like,
Man.
but we're out there. Joey, the guy who runs Eco Cruise, who we're collaborating with on this, he says he'll pull on average on a haul something like 120 pounds of trash, and then he'll
Oh
just like
man.
piggyback these bags down the side of a road on an overnight. We're not that hardcore yet, but we are aspiring to be that when we grow up. So yeah.
What a great idea though. What a great opportunity to, 'cause, what do we do on a layover? Now, I know we get tired sometimes, but sometimes our layovers are long. You get a 30-something hour
Hmm.
layover or something like that, and you're here in the States or wherever you end up. What an opportunity. Just, you're going to work out anyway. Get out there and just start
Hmm.
chucking trash and trying to make a difference. It's actually a really good idea. How do you get people on board, though? I'm wondering, would I do that? I would if I think my layover was in LA because I love it out there. But
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
location
it's got to be
helps.
warm. The sun's got to be shining, I think.
Well,
To like, we're fair weather trash cleaners at the moment.
well,
But
yeah,
well,
we're
that's
not.
why the giveaway we designed. We have like a cooler bag, like a flight cooler bag that you bring on your trips.
yeah,
We have a couple of reusable, collapsible cups, a water bottle, some reusable like swabs and tissues and things like this. We all got donated to us, and then to inspire people to go out and do it, like just to try it once for Earth Day. That's the point of the giveaway. Is if you do it, you get like 20 entries every time you go out and do a cleanup.
oh, that's
Now, you could
great.
also just tag people, and that helps us grow our social media, so you don't have to pick up the trash to enter the giveaway. But that was one way we just thought, it's kind of one of those things you go out and do it, and you're like, this actually is kind of fun. And like a lot of
Mhm.
flight crew, I don't know, a lot of pilots seem to be a little bit OCD. So me and Jordan were kind of the same. Like you see a piece of trash like 15 feet away, and it's tiny. It's like a tiny bit of plastic, and you're like, I got to go get that. So it kind of becomes like a game almost.
Sure.
Yeah, you get. But I think outside of like a trash cleanup challenge for the month of April, I think like just creating that work environment, or like if you're with your crew, just like bring up like, hey, like I'm gonna go out to this like park. It's gonna be a nice sunny day. I'm gonna like I have some extra trash bags. If like I'm cool relatively, I'm not crazy. If you guys want to come hang out with me and like go outside or something like that, I don't know. It's because you can sit there and you can absorb all of YouTube or Netflix, which you still can do. You can do both,
Sure.
but it's like it's a change of pace. It's like, let's get outside. It feels good. You feel good doing it afterwards, and it really didn't take that much extra effort. And it's kind of a way to like also like I noted when sometimes when you're an overnight, you're just like you see the airport, you see the hotel, you never go out. It's a good excuse to go explore like an area you're at. So be like,
So
oh
we
yeah,
kind
it's
of
all cool park.
inadvertently been beating around the bush, but maybe give us a short mission statement of what Project Greenwings is for somebody that's never heard of you guys before.
Yeah. Like at a minimum, basically, what we're shooting to do is we're an eco-friendly flight crew organization aimed at elevating environmental standards in the aviation industry, all aspects of that from the ground up. So starting with just like the empowering the individual flight crew member, but not just even flight crew members, but all passengers. Things you can do, conscious efforts you can make on just a day-to-day basis when you're at work, when you're at the airport, when you're on the airplane or flying, to be just a little bit more eco-friendly, like reduce your carbon footprint, or like make sure something gets recycled, try to use a little less single-use plastic, try to bring a reusable water bottle. So like that kind of concept of like individual empowerment of conscious efforts the theory is that if we all start doing this, this starts to accumulate and add up, and that actually starts to have a meaningful impact. So like creating that kind of culture of sustainability in the industry, which is, as you gentlemen probably know, it's coming along, but it's not like other industries, you know. So there's a lot of room to grow in that respect.
And you guys essentially generated this idea out of thin air between the two of you. But I've noticed that your team is beginning to grow.
It's getting very big.
I definitely want to talk about that specifically, the growth of your team, but you've kind of hit on, I think you said his name was Joey Leatherman and Eco Cruise, and you're kind of teaming up with them for the trash cleanup challenge. Before we talk about the expanded team, because I'd kind of like to use this as a segue for that, but can you discuss the how and the why you guys partnered with Joey? Did he find you? Did you find him? What's the size of his organization in relation to Project Greenwings? Like, let's just talk about that specific relationship for a little bit, like how it originated and where you see it going.
Yeah. Jackson, you want to take that?
I'm not sure how we found Joey. Did you find Joey?
I think it was me. Like, I was looking because I started caring about sustainability. I've always been interested, like hiking, biking, nature, stuff like that. And then, it's like, and I also care about this industry. So I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to join an eco-friendly flight crew organization? So I just started looking for groups, and there weren't any. But the one that I did find was actually this guy. I think I came across a news article in New York that he organized a bunch of pilots and flight attendants at a crash pad. Like, they were just sitting around in crash pads, and they're like, let's go clean up the beach next to LaGuardia. And he's a go-getter. Like, he called the news. He now has a situation with like the waste department there, where they'll send him like a dumpster if he's going to do like a truck. They'll roll a truck out for him to like load up, and they've just seen his stuff. So I think I came across him on Facebook or social media, and then saw his news article. It's like, oh, pilots cleaning up like LaGuardia beach area. Like, that's cool. So started following him on social media like a true stalker, and then I was like, man, this guy seems legit. He's really, like, every day he goes out, and he's just incredibly proactive and productive, and I think we recognize the possibility, because one of the kind of angles we're coming at sustainability is like, what can you do in your individual decision making when you're at work as a flight crew member, like recycling and things like that. He's like, trash cleanup. Let's go out there and clean up the trash that is like in our community area. So his like ability to create these like awesome volunteer opportunities. He also plants trees and stuff like that. With our combined efforts to increase sustainability in the operations of work and around there, they just went hand in hand, because we were just like, we can collaborate on a ton of things. And I think that's where we see it going, is like working with eco crews to design volunteer opportunities or eco excursions or tree planting, opportunities like that. While we, we're trying to work with some airlines right now to improve policies, and then, educate flight crew members on best practices while they're at work. So it just fit hand in hand. So we reached out to him, what, like three months ago, something like that. And
yeah, we were kind of in talks generally, just like complimenting him, he would compliment us, kind of thing. And then we made it official a couple of months ago, and we got this Earth Day plan. Would you like to get involved? And then, yeah, like Jordan said, it just kind of worked in beautifully, hand in hand.
Yeah, it was it fit well. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of back and forth, but we're like, are we stepping on his toes? Are we like challenging him as an organization?
Not at all.
We're
Not
like,
at all.
no, this is we're all working to the same thing here. So
is he a regional guy or is he major?
Mm-hmm. He's a regional guy too.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I wonder how much of this
theme is with sustainability and regionals, but
yeah, like I wonder, like, is it not make it to the big leagues yet? I don't, and I don't mean that disparagingly, obviously, but
no,
that next level where there's money. Let's be honest. There's
Yeah.
larger pots they affect a little bit more, and then you start going international. I wonder what it takes to get to that next level. You said you're talking to airlines. I don't know if you can speak to that at all, but
Yeah.
how's that
I mean,
been?
it's been productive, honestly. It's been so we're brand new, so they're still trying to vet us out, and they have to be very careful about like, who are you guys, what are you really about, like, and so we're kind of in this like vetting process with a couple of them. But yeah, they're very much about promoting any kind of like media and things like that, like
Sure.
we're not asking for a bunch of money yet, but like we're looking to like get exposure for the ideas and like a trash cleanup. So that's kind of along the lines of what we're doing. We have nothing like grounded or finite with any of the majors right now, but we are speaking. Can I mention airlines on this, or should I not? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
So we're talking with United. We've spoken with they have an Eco Skies program. And it's where they're using like sustainable fuels or like biofuels.
They got a great program going. Yeah.
Yeah, like right here out of LA, actually, there's a lot going on. That's really cool. That they're kind of pioneering some efforts, and so we're talking to them and just getting their perspective and like kind of just spitballing ideas of like how we could work together. But like promotion of like materials and educational material is what they seem to be interested for some of the things that we suggested. So we're trying to put together some proposals for that. But you're right. It's like, that's where we want to really make some changes. Like we're working a lot with our airline SkyWest right now to like figure out how the recycling actually works. Cause that's another component. It's like, how does this stuff actually work? It changes from airport to airport. Some caterers recycle, some don't, some domiciles. Like it depends on, it's all different. But at the regionals, they're like, we have to do whatever mainline policy is. So that's definitely one of our components and we got a couple members from United recently join us, and we do have like an assistant chief pilot at Delta that we need to like kind of start feeling out and see what's going on over there. But yeah, I think like mainline can benefit so much from this stuff, because sustainability is where the industry is going. That's where the culture is going. It's
culture. It's a culture thing. It's definitely a huge culture shift, and I think like kind of what you're saying is that it's a trickle down effect or a wave of policy. Once the majors get it, it kind of goes down to where the regional guys are, and things really start changing at that point. So you guys are doing. I mean, it sounds like you're on the right track.
Yeah, and they've been really receptive to the idea, and which has been really good. Like people are putting in like sustainability boards. People have like SkyWest has a head of sustainability now, which we reached out to recently. So they're creating positions. They're making this official. The policy change and stuff. I mean, it's the airlines. It's going to be slow. It's going to be a slow rollout, but they do have a lot of, like we were talking about, Eco Skies, top-down policy or top-down program that really focuses on like the big stuff. We want to kind of meet them from the bottom and like empower the employees to kind of create that cultural shift from the inside out. And then you'll start to see if the policy's there and if the people want the policy to be there, it's going to happen.
Well, how air crew, it's all about swag.
We like our swag, that's for sure. That's
and
something we're
swag,
upgrading
and
right
especially for the flight attendants, they're like, well, you want us to do more work, and we're like, just a little bit more work, like sorts of recycling, things like that. Stack the cups separately. So that's going to have to come. That's going to take some persuasion for some of the more senior members of the airlines to be like, I've done it for 35 years this way. Now you want me to change what I've been doing?
Yeah,
like,
but it goes back to that culture. It goes back to what you guys are doing and trying to change culture. And once you change that culture, which is happening anyway, let's face it, it has been a slower process. But even from the inception of what recycling was, I don't know, 40 years ago, I can't remember, with the little was it a little trash can character or whatever when I was a kid. Anyway, when it started, right, and to what it is now, it seems like it's been a slow roll, but we are getting more educated, and we're starting to really impact. Well, I think we are, and it goes back to like what I hope things are happening the way they're supposed to. I don't know as much about it as I need to, but you try to do your part while you're at work, and the policies are there. So I don't know.
I think that's why it's been, and I'm not trying to be like judgmental against older generations, but I think it's just more popular with younger people. Like it's more
Sure.
on the minds of that, and hence why it's probably working better at regionals, where I think the average
Yeah.
age demographic's a lot lower
Yeah.
Well,
than
and
at
with
the mainline.
that change, and we kind of hit on this on our opportunity hour discussion. There can be products and processes associated with the change you guys are trying to make that will actually make the processes that the air crew are doing more efficient. Like it saves them time, and all this stuff. And granted, there's always that transition period where you're working out the kinks, where you do have to get some people on board to give you that feedback. You're like, all right, this takes too long, but if we do it this way, it's actually quicker than the way we used to do it. So all of this change and whatnot, overall can be efficient from a time and money perspective. And we've kind of talked about that before, but everyone equates change with, oh, it's going to be harder, it's going to be more difficult, it's going to be more expensive. And that's not always the case. And in most scenarios, it's not the case when you get some people involved that are given that feedback that you guys need, and then you can take that feedback from airline B and apply it to airline B and C. So
Yeah, it's not
That's
as
a good point.
cumbersome as everybody imagines it. Like it's like everyone thinks it's like, oh, we're just gonna have to bear this burden or something like that, like either financially or responsibility wise. But in many ways, it's more efficient. It's more cost saving. It's like, okay, if we're cutting down on single use plastics, we're saving the airline money. We're actually becoming more and more efficient, and that can affect the bottom line of the airline. Which if there's any kind of profit sharing models that those airlines are employing, that can directly impact the employee as well.
That's what you got to show. It's that that'll definitely start shifting some culture, because the opportunity, there's costs everywhere, and I think a lot of it has to do with the learning curve, the cost of learning something new, change costs, right? That has a lot to do with it. I even think, because I think financially, or even I know you can show financially how you're going to save. You can make that model, but then folks actually have to do the work, right? And then that's the cost there. So if you could show people, again, with swag, especially aircrew, because they love stuff.
Well,
I'm not saying bribe them. I'm just saying,
No, that's it. It's like, so one of the major ways we can actually make a difference, believe it or not, is through swag, like reusable water bottles, like pins, things that promote this stuff. We actually just bought some new kind of like luggage tag stickers and some pins that we made sure were like compliant size wise and stuff, so like you can kind of start just seeing that stuff. But I mean, with the reusable water bottles, things like that swag, actually using it is saving you from using a water bottle. And I think you speak to a good point too, that like, you got to find out what actually incentivizes a flight crew member. They're not everyone's going to care enough or like go out of their way enough because for the goodness of their heart, or not everyone's a Captain Planet, and you can't expect everyone to be like that. But you can figure out what do these people want? Like what would get their interest? Would it be like a little bit more that pilot, that performance bonus that you might get at the end of the year because the airline's doing better, or you get some cool swag? Like it's for some free stuff.
I just had an idea. Let's just talk, for example, reusable cups. If you could partner with, say, the internet provider or the airline, and if you have anybody that has a Project Greenwings cup, or anybody that wants to purchase an internet for that flight, instead of with that internet, they get a Project Greenwings cup, and every time they come on United or whatever airline and they show their cup, they get free Wi-Fi for that trip.
Yep.
It doesn't cost anybody anything. It's just that correlation where, I have this reusable mug that I'm going to take home, I'm going to keep using, and then when I go fly, I'm going to get free internet every time I fly.
That's brilliant. Like that is one of the concepts like we would love to see it go towards, because it's like there's so many ways you can incentivize like that. Like you get a certain number of like reusable water bottle things, and you get free Wi-Fi on the flight. Like that's such a fantastic idea. We talked about that like kind of further on, is like if we could build an app and maybe even make this public facing too, where it's a little bit more towards the passengers. The same thing, you can get little eco points in your app every time you use, like, go to the right coffee shop that doesn't use like like a bunch of single-use plastic. You get points that can very easily be incentivized with a little bit of airline sponsorship, where it's not costing the airlines anything, like practically, and then but it's creating that kind of culture, and it makes the passengers and flight crew feel better. Like, yeah, little incentives like that. Yeah, we'd love to even design maybe like an app eventually where it's like, I don't know if you guys have ever done like Duolingo or any of those apps where it's like there's like streaks and achievements, and it's like, oh, I can't lose my streak. Like I have to do that instead of using it for like Candy Crush or like something a little dumber. Like you could actually use it to nudge people into like a healthier behavior.
Yep.
And that's a great example of it, Tyler. Yeah.
He's good for that. He's good for great ideas. Cornucopia. That's why I keep him around, because I don't think much, but he does.
Can I ask, actually, how do you guys know each other? I don't want to tangent too much, but like, you guys go way back?
No, I needed a seeing eye brain and found him, and he's been helping me ever since. He reminds me to breathe.
He went with the lowest bid. Now he's regretting it ever since.
Ever since. No, we flew together, military.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I taught him everything he knows, and then
that explains it.
The rest is history. Which is why he knows nothing. No. Yeah, we just and that's one of those things which I'm sure you can attest to, being in aviation. Aviation in and of itself is kind of a family thing, a brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever. But when you get deeper into the military side of things, and it becomes that strong bond, and just happened with us and everybody in our unit at that time. It's changed since, but I'm retired. Yeah. He's retired now too. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So,
recently?
But yeah, for him,
cool.
a month ago.
Yeah. Oh, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Freedom.
Does it feel good? Yeah.
It does. Let's kind of alluded to, me and Brandon are, becoming a team in multiple aspects of our, professional goals and whatnot, the entrepreneurial side of things. But, and you guys have developed something quite similar with Project Greenwings. But let's talk about your team expanding and how that's coming about, how you're cultivating the growth of that team.
Yeah, Jackson?
Yeah, I suppose like initially, like we were saying, me and Jordan, or Jordan and myself, and we were trying to just do it all, and we were learning, like you were saying, with the podcast stuff for you guys, it's just a completely new game, and you're just trying to learn it all. And there's a lot of YouTube University, and it was a lot of long calls between the two of us. And as it started to expand now, the more you fly with people, the more people spread the word around. Like you will find different members that join the organization, and then some, maybe like 10% of those members are the ones that are like really, really into it. And we found like some really great ones now. We have a really great flight attendant called Jen, and she's been helping a lot with like the in-flight stuff. So like redesigning the recycling policies and things like that with SkyWest.
Nice.
And she is just a go-getter. And then we've got like other guys that are helping with recruitment and things like this. And it becomes contagious. And then like if you got to the point now where like a weekly Zoom call like we used to do isn't really cutting it anymore because there's too many people to jump in and there's too much stuff to cover. So now we're starting to have to like departmentalize the teams and things like this. So it's getting big-ish and it's fun, but the amount you can achieve when there's more people doing it obviously is becoming exponential.
So you need the team. Yeah. Are these like chapters, or are they people that are actually working for the head HQ type of thing?
Well, everyone's volunteering.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we have like chapters yet. It's more like we have, it's kind of we're all working together to grow some department basically. But because of where we're at, we've had to kind of compartmentalize. Like for example, for our communications, we were using just like a WhatsApp chat. and it was and that worked fine when it was about 4 of us, but now that
Sure.
it's like there's 12 active members that are like, we're probably 50 or 60 right now total, but like 10 or 12 like really active, and it's growing like every week now. That we've been forced to use, like, we switched over to Slack recently because you can break out your conversations into different departments. Like, okay, here's recruitment, here's research, and here's like, Earth Day project and blah, blah, blah. And that's like helped us a lot for just figuring out, like, okay, if we're going to start to scale as an organization, we really need to like develop a structure to it.
Sure.
And it's like, talk about constant learning. Like, you're like, all right, let's learn how to use this new platform. Let's learn how to like possibly be podcasting here, thanks to you guys. So it's been great though. Yeah, the team's grown a lot. Like it's just like 2 white dude pilots. We're like, all right, we need to expand our perspective a little bit.
Sure.
So we got some flight attendants, we got some people from other like airlines that are starting to come on board. We've had, like I mentioned, some people, like a couple crew members from United and Delta that are interested. Cool. It's a very, no pun intended, but like a very organic growth to this whole thing, which is really cool because now it's like because it's not a hard idea to sell, and you'll catch the people that are passionate about this. If they didn't know it exists, and they're like, oh, they find an outlet, and that's what we're finding right now. In fact, we just had a new member join. His name's Chris Kofed, and he was in a helicopter guard unit. I can't speak to which one, but he recognized in his unit that like they were on 24/7 like rescue ops basically, so they'd have to have the APU. They'd have to have the APU running on their helicopters all the time on their rotorcraft.
They're on alert. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But then he kind of implemented in his unit this process of like the mechanic's always out at the aircraft working on it. So instead of just running the APU nonstop, that just instruct and teach the mechanic how to bring the APU on whenever they get the call. And so that way, because they just need a few minutes for that to fire up. So since then, they've saved like a ton on like on gas, basically on like fuel burn off, because they're not just sitting there cranking an APU the whole time.
It's kind of a big deal.
It's like a more intelligent system. And so it caught on with the unit, and I don't know how well that will spread, but like ideas like that are like an example of where it can fit into like, anywhere. It's just an idea, and it can, just you plant the seed, and then like if that ends up saving a bunch of money, maybe the whole, I think he was in the Navy, like the Navy could take it on, or different units. And forgive my ignorance with some of this, but yeah, it's people that like are particularly care about it right now. They're the ones that are like jumping on this because they've been looking for that outlet, the same way we were, a couple of years ago. And now, like, as we get more of those people that are real, like, hardcore about it, then we can get, we can start reaching out to people who maybe aren't hardcore about it, but like, I see it around more now. So I'll become a member or something.
Yeah, I think people are looking for an outlet. That's great. They want to help. They just don't know how. And if you put this in front of them, say, this is how easy it could be. Like, I will do that. Because I know if anybody's like me, I'm into that.
We kind of legitimize like the solo eco warrior that's been doing this, like especially in the military. This Chris guy was saying, like, obviously it doesn't specialize in sustainability. So he was kind of like the one guy in his squadron that he's like cares about this stuff. But like we were saying earlier, it's all about the bottom line. So he's like, he doesn't want to burn the fuel, but they don't want to spend the money burning the fuel. So you got to pitch it that way. But then him finding us now, he's like, cool, now I got some like backing. There's a group behind me, and we can like send these guys out. A lot of the time it's just by their own initiative. Like people would be like, I've reached out to this person from my base, and we're trying to move forward with like this procedure. I'm meeting Jordan. I'm like, beautiful. We didn't have to do anything, and it's self-happening. That's the dream. Like this thing just becomes self-running.
That's great, man.
Hearing the conversation that we've been having about that and the organic growth, I just had another idea, especially when you were talking about your app.
I told you he's a huge proponent of ideas.
Like we need to be. Thank God this is being
we got to write this down.
He threw out some good ideas last time. We were like, how did we not think of that yet?
He's good, man. He's good.
I was thinking, I don't know if you've ever used like the Nike like running app or whatever, and it shows like the hot spots where people are running certain courses. You could
Mhm.
almost have like hot spots for areas that are identified that need to be cleaned up, right?
Yeah.
And you could have like the before and after pictures or the in progress pictures, and like so you know, we'll use Tampa for example. There's a park, you know, 2 miles away that just needs to be cleaned up because beer cans and the wind blows, and now there's all kinds of litter and paper gathering. I could identify that as a hot spot on the map, and I could be the quote unquote commissioner of that spot, and then using your platform, try to recruit people to help maintain and improve that spot. And
I bet you there'd be
like, it gives me a sense of ownership of that spot.
That park. And you can blast out to everybody that has the app.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to be here. And they all come running. That would be. See what I tell you, he's a fucking genius. I don't know.
Yeah, man, that's fantastic.
He's like the idea whisperer.
Run with this. Run here. This will fix your organization. No, but
I just, you know, it's like half the time it's like, you know, everyone has downtime, and instead of, you know, TikTok, it's like, well, what can I do? And if there's just a little bit of direction on what to do and how to do it, boom, problem solved. You know what I mean? Like that's the vector for the motivation that needs to be applied, basically.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. You're right. It's like people might have that goodwill and they're just sitting on it, but they don't have that structure to kind of just nudge them in the vector them in the correct area. But that's such a cool idea. In fact, that'd be cool to run it by Joey. It's like a heat map for each area, like each overnight we might have.
Especially like he's already the airport hotels.
Yeah, like
if we can find a hot spot near a common hotel area, mark it down, and then if people are bored, boom, go out there. Super easy.
Yep.
That we could put that on the newsletter, like until we have that app. But yeah, that's a fantastic idea, Tyler. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, when we were cleaning up the beach like a few days ago, we were talking to the lifeguard for a bit afterwards, and she's like, "Yeah, and the beach was not that dirty, to be perfectly fair. We're like, this area is just." It's not where it all accumulates, but she was giving us ideas for like, this spot's okay, but if you go to this other beach, like hit that area up, and like marking that and kind of mapping the areas is such a cool idea, because yeah, you're right. Like that could be the nudge that someone needs when they're sitting at the Hilton or Ramada, just like bored out of their mind. Like, oh, this place is, you know, it's a 12-minute walk, and I just bring some gloves and a trash bag and I'm good. So. Cool.
Yeah, you got me, you know, genned up, man. I think I might have to do this next time I have a layover, if I ever fly again. But yeah, next time I have a layover, that'd be, especially if it's in Cali and these places that I love to go to. Why not?
Yeah.
I fall in, because I learned a term you guys had. I think I fall into along the lines of wishcycling. I was reading some of the information on it, and I am guilty. I am one of those people. Like it'll get to where it's supposed to be, right? So.
Two kinds of people. There's people guilty of wish cycling, and then there's liars. Like there's no in between. Like everyone's done it. Like no one knows. Especially with the information out, you have to dig to find this stuff out.
Sure.
Like,
but you know what, you guys?
I thought cling wrap was recyclable my entire life until like 2 months ago. I was like, oh my god, I've been doing this wrong.
Oops.
I've been recycling Starbucks cups for like years, up until like a year ago or whatever. I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's just like it's paper, but it's like paper and wax and all this stuff. And you're just like, they'll figure it out. I'm sure they have an area where someone's scrubbing and individually separating all material. Like maybe that's all naive in second thought.
Oh that's me. I'm that guy. I'm sorry. Sorry, Earth. Sorry, Earth.
Yeah, the spirit, the intention is there. Yeah. And now it's like just the education is like where we want to step in. And we're like, actually, this isn't recyclable, and you actually would do better if you just throw that in the trash, because right now it's only like, for the most part, like aluminum, you know, plastic bottles, no caps, you know, clean, uncontaminated cardboard and paper. And if it's anything in between, you know, like, and you're not sure, it's actually does better to throw it into the trash, because if you throw it into recycling, it can contaminate the entire batch. And when this stuff is
Oh, wow.
batched up and sold, or they're given to materials recovery facilities and they break it out and there's a certain level of contamination, then the whole batch gets rejected. And
Really?
then it ends up in a landfill anyways. So
Really?
yeah, it's a messy process right now. We used to sell it to our
And
trash
they
to
just do a
China.
quick check.
Yeah.
Like they see a big bag and they're like, if there's like a bunch of food in there, like even like 10% food, they're like they're not scientists. They just
They're
work
not
on like on a
digging
line and
through
they're
to
like
see
done.
what can we salvage. Yeah.
Wow.
And we
Man.
used to sell it to like China and Indonesia, and not to like bum everybody out, but like, so we'd send our stuff over in these massive cargo ships, just like massive like shipping containers just full of this stuff, and basically it'd show up at port
Oh, yeah.
in Beijing or somewhere like Jakarta or like wherever, Bali or something like that, and then they'll go in there, do an assessment, and if it's more than 10% contaminated, the entire ship is like it's trash, send it back. And so it was all for nothing. So it's like, yeah, and they're not buying our trash anymore, which actually is good, because it's like that'll force us to have to deal with it, because we need to drastically improve our system. It's really broken. But
That's interesting. Wow. They're not buying it, so that'll force us into, quite literally dealing with our shit, I guess.
Yeah, it is exactly dealing with our own shit. And like, and hopefully we can apply more technology and stuff to really start recouping value, because a lot of this stuff has like, I mean, when you throw out like a phone or something, there's like gold, there's cadmium, cobalt, nickel, there's like really valuable stuff. We just don't have the processes, or like, meticulous enough processes to recapture this, but there's a lot of value in there.
Yeah, how do we get? And you're right. Technologies will adapt if forced to. I mean, that's the human nature. We adapt. That's a beautiful thing about being the species, right? So, I mean, if we can figure out so many other things, why not this? And you're right. There's a lot of precious metals in all these things, and ways to. Wow.
Not only that,
you can
but
take your
like
electronics to Best Buy. I know that, and you can like donate it, and that's what they do. They recover all the.
Do they?
All
Okay.
precious metals and things out of the electronics. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I
just threw a phone away.
Value. Yeah, it's all right. Just go dig it out. No, like I know
I just wish cycled probably a day ago with that phone.
You're not, man. Seriously, it's all the time. Everybody's doing it. It's just like becoming more aware of it. Like that's all. It's like that. Like you don't have to. Yeah. Like. Bury yourself in guilt or anything, but it's like, it's like becoming aware of it is like the first step. And
well, I think, and that's why you're
if you don't know, you can't do anything about it. Like,
and I think your page is great.
A problem entirely.
Yeah, very much so. Your page, whether it be Instagram or Facebook, I'm looking at it now, and has a wealth of knowledge. Has stuff like those little nuggets that, hey, if you do this, if you do that. I mean, it's how I learned by most of this stuff, just by going to those sites. I didn't even have to dig that deep, which is great, because who's gonna anymore, right? So, but if it's right there.
Awesome infographics.
Oh, the infographics are insane. Whoever's doing them.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely.
I need to refresh them a little bit. We're getting a little old, but like, but that's the idea. Is like no one's gonna dig through and go through some lengthy, city's municipal recycling page to find out what is
right.
So like, where are people looking? Where are people getting their info? Where are people looking at stuff? And it's social media. So that's the whole one of our major concepts. Like, let's put little like nuggets of info there in bite size, easy to read. It's like, oh, you saved enough water bottles to go to the moon and back if you do this for like 2 years. Like cute stuff like that is like what is gonna make over time stick with people, because you can't expect people to go way out of their way to understand how this stuff works. So you got to bring the education to them in the platforms they're looking at, and also make them not get insanely bored looking at it also.
So, you got like great. 6 seconds of attention from the average person, probably.
Yeah. Aesthetically
pleasing, and it's got to be simple to the point, and then they just scroll on through, and then hopefully some of them are like, hey, I didn't know that. I can apply that to my life. And that's kind of, that was a big thing with that 30-day challenge we did in January. It was like really easy things that you might not be doing. Some of them you probably are, but I can guarantee some of them I wasn't doing. So I was like, I can change that. Like,
I wasn't rinsing my recyclables you can rinse your recyclables when you're done. Like if it had food, like if you had like a salad clamshell, one of those like plastic things,
Oh yeah.
it actually drastically increases its ability to be recycled and not get contaminated if you just do a quick rinse on it. Which is like asking a lot, you know, if you're doing that all the time. But it's like now you know something that will. Now you know a little bit more about how the process works, and something you can do if you're there and you're near a faucet or sink or something that could be the difference between something ending up in a recycled material area in a landfill. So
that's great information.
Yeah.
Yep. So
and I think like just on recycling still as well.
Go ahead, Jackson.
What's that, Jackson?
Oh, I'll go. Yeah, just on recycling as well. Like we saw the information bulletin that our flight attendants get on like what is recyclable for the different carriers, and we worked for America, Delta, United, and Alaska, and each one had separate stuff, and it was factually just wrong as well, and it was like overwhelming, and it was kind of like reading like almost like a white paper for these flight attendants on like what, and then it's overwhelming to them, and they're like, I don't want to do this. So we want to redesign the information bulletin that goes out to the flight attendants, and we're working with some flight attendants, and we're hopefully going to work with SkyWest soon to get this out there. Keep it really simple, and just like this isn't. All the carriers, like just hit the low-hanging fruit of what is recyclable.
There you go.
And then it should get done, because you're not making their job much harder. It's just really easy things to remember.
And if you can
That's
put
the way
numbers,
we can, take what we're doing on social media to the actual airlines as well.
and if you could put numbers to those low-hanging fruit, like what are the numbers there? And I'm, not right now, obviously, but if you can show a company that, hey, if you just do this low-hanging fruit, like you said, and this is what it equates to, I mean, how can they not get on board with something like that? It's almost foolish not to if you guys are willing to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It's like we are willing to do that work. Like we will do all the legwork of do the research and even like write up the language and things like that. You guys just have to publish it because that's like we care about this stuff. But that's it. It's like you would have to be like not paying attention to your books or accounting to not recognize the value of like, oh, if we go digital, with our paper releases. Like I mentioned in that last podcast, Tyler, that we did together on the Opportunity Hour, that we switched to digital releases on our electronic flight bags. We now have iPads.
Yeah.
But before that, you average 20-page flight release, with all that information on paper, getting printed out on 8.5 by 11s. Averaged across our airline pre-COVID numbers, it was something like 18 million pages of paper a year, which we equated. It's like something like 20 acres of like forest. That's of trees.
Insane.
That's like just going digital stopped that whole process. So like little things like that can make drastic things, make drastic changes, and that might not be originally accounted for in the whatever the accounting process is. It's like what, because people usually are afraid, like it's usually an upfront cost. It's like, oh, it's going to be a return on investment. But if you just like, it costs a lot to buy some iPads for everybody, but then in the end it ends up saving 18 million pages times so many years.
There was a study done about the weight of our bags on the plane and taking out the weight, cause we used to carry pubs. I don't know. You guys remember carrying pubs? Yeah, you guys are old enough to remember carrying pubs, right? Before the iPad. When we had to carry those big, your back breaking pub bag, there was somebody did a study about how much weight is saved on the aircraft, and then how that equated to either fuel savings or being able to put more cargo on. Even if you put like one little thing underneath the belly, a mailing or some sort of cargo, and what that equated to. And I was astonished by the impact of that alone and how much it saved in fuel costs. Like, man, you didn't think about it. Well, you think about it, those things are like, what, 30, 40, 50 pounds? Mine was, because I need a lot of books, apparently.
Everyone's lugging those. That's like, got to take a fuel account for every crew's got them. And then that multiplied by that many flights, you could probably figure out how much exact fuel could be saved. And it probably wouldn't take much. Yeah. I bet it didn't take much, like a month of looking at those figures to be like, whoa, this is a drastic amount of fuel or something like that.
Well, you've got 3 or 4 pilots too. So that's about you say 40, so round it, 50 a piece, 50 pounds. You know, it's like a whole nother person. Yeah, it's two passengers. Think about that money.
Yeah,
So it was interesting. I was shocked, and it made me a believer on stuff like that. Because not that I wasn't before, but I wasn't before, I guess.
No, that's okay.
Well,
I wasn't before either. Yeah.
We were speaking to a guy that their company provides a lot of the catering items to like worldwide to like a bazillion different airlines, and they're really making a push for like more sustainable items, whether it's like a bamboo napkin in first class, or like they're changing the way the cups, like so the cups are compostable, or the coffee cups and things like this. But one thing, their item might be more expensive, but if they can make it a tiny bit lighter, like even the cups, then the costs kind of outweigh themselves. That's something they look at every time they're redesigning an item. Like we can make it more sustainable, better for the environment, but we got to make it lighter. So the costs kind of balance out and the airlines can still keep that like same bottom line.
Ooh, that's interesting.
They're doing some like fantastic work.
So is that what's
in this field?
Tyler, you were mentioning, what was the term? Is that the carbon neutral or something like that? Is that what that means?
Well, carbon neutrality can be a lot of things, but it's based. Jackson, did you want to take that? I want to step on your toes there.
No, you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily like the carbon neutrality. Like, so most of the airlines are like getting pressure now from their investors. Like, there's this group called BlackRock. They're massive investors. I think they're the largest dark bank, I think is what they're called. Sounds so like Illuminati and stuff like that. But they have own like massive. They own like big chunks of like most of the airlines, and now they're putting pressure to like, what are your plans to be carbon neutral by 2050? Is like, and they have to lay out a plan. And so these are things that can kind of accumulate. So they look at, and that's a calculation of how much carbon is being generated by the flight operations, and then how do you offset that? And there are offset procedures to do that, because like you can calculate that it like per passenger per mile, you're creating like 2 kilograms of like CO2 emissions or something like that.
Sure.
What will we have to do? And like, if we planted a tree, that could offset this much carbon. So it's a plan to offset all of the emissions that you're creating. And so things like, okay, we're using bamboo, and you can calculate, like if we were using the traditional paper, it would deforest this much, but bamboo is a much like better renewable energy because it grows so fast, and it's a really fantastic renewable resource. Actually,
it's a weed, right, or something like that, or a grass. That's why it grows like that.
Yeah, it's like a segmented. If you look at it, it grows like it's like this little cloned section, and it just grows like, and I can't remember how much per year, but it's just really easy to grow, and it's really durable, and light, and strong. So you can figure out, okay, if we plant this many trees and we switch to this much bamboo, if we would have stuck to business as usual, we would have saved this much carbon. And that's the goal that they're all shooting for, is like, let's balance out what we're doing completely through reforestation projects, through using better materials and stuff. So all these things start to accumulate in this like scoreboard, essentially, that they're gonna, every major business, I think, actually is gonna have.
They're probably gonna have to before long. Does underwear count? Because I'm doing my part. I get the bamboo underwear, and it's amazing. Guys, if you don't wear bamboo underwear, I don't know if this is a plug for whoever makes them, because I don't know who.
Furlough Friday, brought to you
amazing. Brought to you by Bamboo Undies.
I'm telling you. I usually don't think soft, but like they're good.
Oh,
sounds
brother.
Like,
okay, all right.
They're more than good.
Really?
Sounds like a chafing problem in the.
It just sounds. Yeah, I'm just imagining the wood, and I was like,
would
sure
think.
Got it. Yeah.
You would think it's such an oxymoron, but here's the thing: the first time I bought a pair was I think I was in China or something. I don't know. They said the same thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? That didn't even sound. And I held it. I'm like, no, this is not bamboo. This is like silk or something. No. And I read the label. Wow. I'm like, how is this made of? But apparently not the outer portion, like the flesh, I guess, of this thing. I didn't know that had flesh. Sure. They can make it real. It's strong, apparently. Make it real soft. I'm just saying. I'm doing my part. That's all I'm saying.
But that's the thing, is like, if like products and things start going that way, that's where I'm hopeful. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, if we can do this, if we can make bamboo into underwear,
I'm telling you.
pretty. That's talk about. We can put a man on the moon. We can make bamboo into underwear. I see that like maybe not exactly the same, but like that's like the trajectory of like what we can accomplish. Like
As
like,
far as I'm
if we
concerned, it's right up there with sliced bread there, Jordan.
yeah, it's a top 5 human achievements. Easily.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like that's the stuff that's like we want to highlight also. It's like look at the stuff. Look at what are alternatives to the things you're doing. Like one of the 30-day challenge things we did in January is like pay attention to your toilet paper. Like what kind of toilet paper are you using? Where's it coming from? Because now they have like there's like sustainability reports on almost every single consumer product there is out there. And so we just looked at like toilet paper. What are the most sustainable ones? And like there are toilet papers made out of bamboo now. So I'm seeing a theme here actually.
Hey, I'm telling you.
They're going to be soft.
I think it's time to start investing in bamboo.
I'm saying.
That's probably a really good idea actually, because I think it's just such a good renewable resource. But yeah, things like that, like you just paying attention to the things that you can do like that, like where it's a consumer choice. And then that consumer choice obviously magnifies across the industry when we're talking to like some of these product makers are like, oh, if you pick this vendor, they use bamboo coffee stir sticks, and that single item makes a drastic impact when you multiply it across the industries like operations. So.
I had the number. I can't remember what the number is for a few major airlines that got rid of the plastic stir sticks, and it was I got to find that. It was a crazy amount of plastic saved per year, like thousands of tons of those plastic stir sticks.
Really?
Just for moving to bamboo. But I got to find the number to make this story more impressive. But
no, it's fine.
That's just an example of like really small changes that can.
That sounds like your next infographic right there.
There you go.
Yeah,
that would be a good one.
And here's the thing: you have an accent, so you could say whatever, and it sounds impressive.
Man, yeah.
I'm listening. I don't even know what you just said.
I've been practicing this.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm pretty sure you told me, Jackson, when you came here, you're like, I was like a 6 or 7 back home, but here I like bumped you up 2 points on the 10-point scale.
Isn't that great?
Oh yeah.
Dude, we had a kid. Side note: this has nothing to do with what we're doing. I took a kid deployed once. He was one of the guys in the back, and he was from Kentucky. The kid was like 19 years old. Kentucky. When I say Kentucky, it was a deep Kentucky accent.
Deep Kentucky.
We were in Greece, and it was amazing how all the girls were just waiting on every word that was coming out of. They had never heard it before. They thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, probably he talked so slow. That's why they were waiting for every word.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe, and we were like, wait, what? Really? And everything, and one of the girls actually even said, it's beautiful. We're like, huh.
Really? Wow. That's cool.
And, we didn't want to burst the bubble. We were proud of the kid. We were like, well, in our country, shout out, all respect to our guys in Kentucky. Let's be nice.
Course.
But
of course. Let's not disrespect the Kentucky people.
But no, it was impressive how, and it did have kind of a cool accent. It was because it was so deep Southern drawl. But over there, couldn't believe it. So yeah, he went from like I don't know, this young kid. I mean, you don't get up past 5 until what? You're 25 at least. I don't know.
So if you're a single man in Kentucky, your next vacation is Greece.
You need to go to Greece. Stat.
You found your niche. That's your paradise.
Clean up. Yeah. It's good to
Well,
know.
guys, you know what? You spurred something in us here at Furlough Fridays, and more specifically the Sky Pirates. So we were talking about it before, and we want to see if you'll allow. If we want to kind of get on this prize thing, and we want to offer up something that I kind of was going to do anyway, if you don't mind hearing.
Yeah.
But I was going to donate a used, and you kind of got me the ideas clicking. Not as cool as Tyler's, obviously, but is to donate a Stealth. One of the rolling boards, 22-inch. I got one, and I was going to donate it, but I can get it refurbed to where it's brand new, and it doesn't cost much. We'll eat the cost, and donate that with you guys if you want. Up to you.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be huge.
I-
Yeah.
That
Because
could be really, yeah. Like
it is a luggage works too. So you guys had luggage works, right? Isn't that what you were using?
we were using.
Yeah, that's
what
our
are
other
we
one,
using for
yeah.
that one?
Yeah. So it was the same company. I
It is
love the
luggage
company.
work,
I've been
I
using them
think.
for years.
Well, thank you. Yeah, like we would love to use something like that. And I think that's another outreach direction that we can really go is like if you have extra stuff that's like refurbished, like that's another incentive to get people to like engage in this kind of stuff. You know, it's like, oh, there's prizes. Like that helps a lot. So yeah, thank you, Brandon. That'd be amazing. We definitely
definitely.
Yeah,
find
thank you.
If people have used or refurbished luggage or anything aviation, it's almost like they could utilize your social media platforms and market it. And hey, you know, the recipient pays shipping type things, and then it's I don't know, just a thought there too. But
This guy and
and
his
it fits
ideas, damn
perfectly
it.
with it.
Yeah.
God, it's like John Nash. Just like
Man, it's just like a beautiful mind thing. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
No, but that totally fits like the whole concept of sustainability too. Is like you're actually getting more use out of this bag or giving it to someone that like could use it. If you've already got another one, then you're getting like that resource is being used a lot more. So thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We could definitely like find some space for that and like figure out a way to like build that into a giveaway.
Absolutely, that'd be great. You know, I got to tell you that the company's great, and I've refurbed a couple of mine, and it comes back damn near brand new. So
Really?
it really does. It's shiny again. They changed the plates. So we'll get it refurbed for you, and I think that, like you said, it falls in line with reusable. And if it helps a regional guy that really doesn't want to shell out the money for it, or just whoever,
We don't.
that could even be a donation thing. Like they
can.
Donate to Project Greenwings, get this refurbished bag, and as long as the donation is
Certain
covers
level.
the delivery price, like you guys keep the excess type thing. I think you'd have a lot of people donating and a lot of people, providing luggage to be refurbished.
Well, you heard it here, folks, ladies and gentlemen. The Sky Pirates are going to be the first ones, damn it. We want our name on the first infographic or whatever it's called that you guys do.
Number
That we
one,
did it.
the pioneers.
Yeah, first movers here. You heard it, folks.
But that just kind of
that's-
goes to show, like, the industry you guys are in and the end goals that you're trying to accomplish. There's so many different angles and perspectives to get there. It's like, I might not be able to go pick up trash off the beach, but I can help by donating something, or there's just so many different things that people can do based upon what they're comfortable with, and it still has a positive net effect overall.
Sure.
I think that's why it's particularly fun and like personally not boring to me. Like if it was just one thing you could do, like, and it was just like, all right, just promote the heck out of one thing, like that's it. But like one of my favorite things about this is like when we get new members, like you, Tyler. Thank you, by the way. We saw you.
Oh, you saw that? Cool. Okay.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
New
Welcome.
idea. Yeah, we got some work for you. Just kidding. No, but like watching people's ideas, like everyone's got a new idea and like a new way to do something, and it's never boring. There's so much you can do in so many different avenues, and it all is working towards that same goal. So it doesn't. There's people can find their own ways to contribute if they can't do it in other ways. Like you said, they might not be on a beach or, what they can do, but they can find their own unique way to have a relationship towards more sustainability in their daily life that contributes to the cumulative goal.
Yep.
Cool.
Very cool.
Well, we're over an hour in. Has BA, do you have any other questions for these guys? Jackson, Jordan, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
No. I dig it, guys. Thanks for coming. I can't wait till the next time and some more updates. I think this is going to be it already is a huge movement and culture shift, and I'm glad you guys are kind of leading the charge.
Yeah, thank you guys. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. The
thank you.
support is huge, and like your promotion through your Sky Pirates network. I'm excited to see what Sky Pirates like becomes too, because I think this could be massive as well. And yeah, you guys are doing great work. And if I would just say, if anybody's interested, you could check us out at projectgreenwings.com. And also, Brandon, Tyler, if you guys have any contacts or people that you think that might be interested in this in your respective organizations, like
Sure.
that's one of the major things. We're like trying to build connections and networks and try to be that kind of communication and liaison through, for people pushing for sustainability from different aspects. We're talking to, airport vendors. We're talking to it's not just airlines. It's like airport vendors, like just anything connected to aviation. That where there's a potential for sustainability, which hint it is everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would appreciate it. So,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We'd be
100%
happy
on
to.
my part too. Yep.
Yeah.
well, thank you guys. Thanks again. This has been awesome. So,
No, thank you guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
you
you.
being on the show. A lot of fun.
And we'll be back soon with some more good news. Give us a little bit of time to work on this industry.
There you go. All right, guys.
Furlough
Awesome.
Friday
Thanks, guys.
38's in the books.